Why is an accurate census important? What's at stake?
So, I'm Stanley Moore, Cook County Commissioner. I want to thank you for allowing us to be here today. The census is very important, extremely important. This is going to be a very critical year for Cook County and for the rest of the state and the country. Every person, according to a study done by George Washington University, every person not counted, particularly in Cook County, is about $1,400 per person for the next 10 years. So that's $14,000 per person that we will lose if they are not counted. So you think of it this way. Federal dollars are very important. The census is responsible for about $675 billion. And out of that $675 billion, we receive federal funds to fund all kinds of different programs, schools, social service programs, hospitals, and everything that we do, construction, roads, bridges, everything is funded based off of those population numbers. So for every person not counted, that dollar amount leaves that community and goes to a community that is counted.
Hi, I'm Dr. Behrens. I'm here because I'm a pediatrician and this census will be critical for the health and well-being of our kids for the coming decade. So our state and our patients stand to lose desperately needed funds for things like SNAP, nutrition assistance, housing, foster care funding, and Medicaid. And the kids who are being missed are the very kids who most need some of these programs. So we're here to make sure that every kid counts.
It sounds like an accurate count is essential. So who tends to be undercounted?
So what the census deems as undercounted or hard to count communities are not necessarily any particular community of color, but they generally say people who do not respond to other surveys on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So some of the categories of hard to count people would be children under 5, would be people with language challenges or people who don't non-English speaking, renters, people who move more often than others, and typically people who do not have a trust with the government to give their information to the government because they feel that if they give their information to the government, it'll be used for other purposes outside of the population count. So those are hard to count communities.
How will the information be collected for the census?
So again, I'm Jackie Algie from SEIU, and census information will be collected 4 ways. First, there will be a mailing, and the mailing will begin the mid of March 2020, and so there will be 4 times that mailings will go out to the public for people to respond and return the forms. In addition to mailing, this year is going to be the first time that census can be collected or done. The forms can be completed over the internet or through the internet. And so people are really excited about that because it could be an easier way for people to respond because it's like you can do it right then from your smartphones and other accessories that you use for internet access, excuse me. And so then the other way is that there will be telephone calls made to people about this is, time for the census form to be completed. We can take your information over the phone. And to the commissioner's point, if people feel comfortable giving that information, they could do it that way. And then finally, there will be enumerators that will knock on the door if all else fails, and they will knock on the door and then ask people to participate in completing the form. And this form this year is really simple. There are 9 questions, and they're not so personal and private that people should have hesitation or reservation about answering.
Mm-hmm. Something I think of perhaps as a millennial is I just wonder, are there any other parts of the government that are going to see my census answers?
So the federal government has passed a law called Title 13. Title 13 protects census information from being shared from any other department, including the IRS. So the census is so important, the population count, that Title 13 protects your information from being distributed or used in any other fashion other than for population and statistical purposes.
Why should young people or young adults want to participate in the census?
So it's important for young adults to participate in the census because it's going to directly affect their lives for the next 10 years. So one of the groups that we mentioned as being undercounted was college students, and that's because perhaps they don't know if they should be registered here or in their home state, but it does affect them. It affects their housing, it affects their dollars for education, it's going to affect their whole life, the infrastructure, all of that for the next 10 years. And then also for younger people, census jobs are available. We do have them available and they pay pretty well. So it's a good way for them to give back to the community and also make a little money for themselves.
So how can each of us help to make sure that Illinois has a complete and accurate census, given how important this is?
So what some of us are doing is we are putting together campaigns. The state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, and Cook County collaboratively, with, like the words here, educate, encourage, engage, and participate. That's what we're pushing. We want everyone to understand the importance of this and why they have to participate in order for us to protect the amount of money that we typically get from the federal government. We know we're going to have an undercount. We know we're going to lose one congressional seat. But if this undercount is larger than what we expect, we could possibly lose 2 congressional seats. And what that means is if you lose congressional representation in Washington, you lose someone there advocating and fighting for funding to come back to your state, your city, and your county. And so that's why it is so very important that we participate and educate.
How can I find out more about the census?
In order to participate, we're asking people to go to www.cookcountyil.gov/census to participate and to apply for some of the funding that we have. And also, it's www.census.illinois.gov for the state funding and www.illinoiscensus2020.com. So go to one of those websites, sign up, and participate today.